right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. If you've been joining us today, you know that I've said this a lot today. Happy Earth Day to everybody out there tuning in with us. Our adventure for today has been to connect with all 7 continents and the ocean, to have live events for classrooms from all across our planet. So to do a quick recap, we started the morning in Antarctica before we moved to Europe, Africa. Then we spent some time in Asia, a tiny break before we hit North America and the Arctic Ocean. So we still have 2 more continents to visit. We're going to make our way to South America very, very shortly before we wrap up the day in Australia. I'm not going to say too much about our planet right now. I have roped someone in who can do that for me with a little special message for all Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants classrooms on Earth Day. So let's check out this little message.
Hello, everybody, and happy Earth Day. My name is Jessica Meir, and I'm a NASA astronaut currently living here on board the International Space Station, supporting the Expedition 74 mission. We are currently about 408 kilometers above the Earth, moving at 28,000 kilometers per hour, and making a full orbit of the planet every 90 minutes. That's a lot of sunrises and sunsets, 16 per day. While we're here, my crew and I will contribute to hundreds of scientific investigations and technical demonstrations. As a scientist and an avid explorer, I find the earth sciences and observations captivating. I want to give a big shout out to all of the classrooms joining Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants today to meet scientists and explorers from across the planet. You'll be making live connections from all 7 continents and from the ocean. But I thought you might want to see a bit of the incredible view of our home that myself and my 6 colleagues get to see each and every day. This is my second visit to the International Space Station, and when I look back at Earth, I see something extraordinary. This gorgeous blue gem is encompassed by a thin, tenuous band of atmosphere, responsible for supporting all life on our planet. From this vantage point, we are not only struck by Earth's immense beauty, but also by the fact that it is utterly fragile, here in the void and blackness of space. It is immediately clear that we all must do our part to protect it. The diverse color palette is overwhelming. Swirling coastal currents framing the continents, the array of shapes and textures of sand dunes in the desert regions, even simply seeing the shifting clouds from above presents an endless gallery to behold. I can certainly say that even after 205 days of my first mission, and now more than 2 months into the second one, the view never, ever gets old. I'd like to say thank you to everyone for letting me pop in to say hello today. I hope you have a wonderful time meeting scientists and explorers from around the world, and that you're inspired to learn more about this one-of-a-kind place we call home. Thank you, and goodbye for now.
All right. Well, a huge thank you to Jessica for that incredible message from the space station. I hope she's able to tune into a few of these events today, but I have a feeling they have her doing a bunch of science and stuff, so she might not have the time. Okay, we're going to get to South America now, and we are going to talk to Rosamira. She is a Colombian landscape architect and environmental designer turned conservationist. She founded or co-founded, is now executive director of Proyecto Tití, an organization dedicated to the protection and conservation of Colombia's most endangered native primate species, the cotton-top tamarin. So if you haven't seen one before, I think you're in for a little treat today. They are quite a unique looking monkey species, pretty darn cool. And I think we should just get right into it. So I'm going to grab Rosmira from backstage. Here we go. There we go. Hey, how are we doing today?
Hey, Joe. Good afternoon and hello to everybody in the audience. It's really amazing to be here with you today.
All right. Well, we couldn't be happier to have you here with us representing South America. Before I let you take over for a bit, because I know you've got some great images and stories and things like that to share with us, I do want to give a shout out to our classroom. So whether you are in a camera spot backstage right now, or if you are tuning in live via YouTube, let us know where you're tuning in from. Send us a message, say hey, and then when the time comes, send in those questions to us as well. If you can, take a picture of your classroom tuning in and post it online with hashtag Earth Day Live. We would love to see your classrooms in action. Rosamira, I would love to let you take over for a little bit.
Yes, thank you very much, Joe. And again, welcome to the story of the cotton-top tamarins. Like Joe was saying, these very rare and unique little monkeys, and it's obvious what they're called, cotton-top tamarins, right? They have this white shock of white hair. Look at that. It's like really, really stylish, and a very impressive wig. Cotton tops are very unique little monkeys. They are actually very little. You probably have seen squirrels in your neighborhood or in the park. Well, cotton tops are exactly about the size of a squirrel. It's actually a 1-pound monkey. But even though they are very little monkeys, they are very similar to us humans. For starters, they live in family groups like we do. So, mom, dad, and babies. Then the babies grow old and they leave home, just like we do, to make their own families. They are very territorial and protective of their families and also of their home. So they protect it really well. Babies are born once a year, and look at that little head in the back of mommy there. Just once a year, and it's usually twins. You can probably identify or maybe see the little tail of this other guy here. Restful nap on daddy's back. But babies learn everything from their parents, just like we do. Even a language, very sophisticated language that they have made out of chirps, and they have words, you could call them words, for alarm or for curiosity or when they're nervous, and they way that communicate just as we communicate with our language. But one thing that makes cotton top very important for the forest where they live is that they eat mostly fruits. Look at this guy here we caught munching on one of the fruits that is produced in the forest where they live. He's certainly enjoying those red fruits there. And the amazing thing is that they swallow the whole fruit, as you can see, even the seeds that come within the fruit. And while that goes through their stomach, and when they go out and poop like we do every day, trees grow because they disperse all the seeds they eat. And while they move around their territory, and they're planting trees. And this is amazing because they help keep the forest healthy and growing. And then the forest provides all those benefits to us humans. So it is very important. They play a very important role in the forest. And that's why it is important that they stay in the forest. But something else that makes cotton top tamarins very unique is the fact that you saw our NASA friends showing the big planet. And, these little monkeys only live in that red dot that you see on this map. That's it. Nowhere else in the world you will see cotton top tamarins in the wild. And not even in the whole country. It's the country of Colombia. That's where I was born and raised. And that's where these monkeys live. Not even in the whole country, but only in that little black spot that you see in the north part of Colombia. So that makes it very, very unique. So they're important. They have a very important role in the forest, and they're very unique and cute. We call them the cutest monkeys in the world. But they're also facing hardship and a lot of threats. Unfortunately, All those areas that used to be blankets of tropical forest, beautiful green and lush forest, are being cut down, and it's mostly for agriculture, cattle ranching, and urban development. Sadly, this has been done over the years without any planning, and then cotton tops are more and more, losing their home. It's like if they were started taking down parts of our home, and then we end up just in the bathroom in one little room. So that's creating a lot of threats for the long-term survival of cotton top tamarins. The other problem they're facing, or the challenge they're facing, is that they're so cute, so charismatic, that people don't know they're so threatened and don't know that they're not supposed to be home animals. They get captured for the illegal pet trade to be kept, as pets in people's homes. So those two problems are really putting cotton tops in the brink of extinction. And thankfully, we created Proyecto Tití, and this is the project that I lead here in Colombia, to protect cotton top tamarins, to provide a long-term future, make sure that they have everything they need and that we humans can live in harmony with them in their forest and all of the other amazing wildlife that share the territory. So that is one of the things that we do. We are focused completely on protecting cotton top tamarins. And as part of our conservation program and our exploring every day, we track the monkeys in their home. You might be able to see a little backpack this guy has in the back. That is a telemetry transmitter. And that telemetry transmitter has a little antenna that you can see a little bit of it over the branch. And that sends a signal that our team picks up with the antenna. And that is very important because that helps us find the family groups that we study in the forest every day and learn from them. And the reason we need to learn from them is because that way we can help them. If we don't know much about the animals, it's going to be hard that we provide a safe future for them. So we've been studying cotton tops for a very long time, and we've been able to have hours and hours and hours of observations of them just being them, just like you see them in this video. There's mom and dad giving each other some love, doing some grooming, kind of like, sharing a fun family time. And then there's Junior there to the left with the baby, taking care of the baby in the back while mom and dad take a break. But he's also looking around all over the place to see if there's any natural predators that may come. Well, natural predators actually are boa snakes and raptor birds. So we've watched them many hours, and we have learned a lot: what they eat, how they behave, where they sleep. And all of this information is helping us, or has helped us, to design ideas and initiatives that can secure their future in the wild. But the truth is that the main problem is that they're losing their home. And now we need to know, what do we do to secure a home? So this is what we have focused a lot of our work over the past 10 years, and it is protecting the little bits of forest that are still there, and then restoring or bringing back the forest from pasture lands and bare soil into this beautiful, amazing forest in northern Colombia. And you would think that's an easy thing to do, and it's a matter of just planting trees. And I speeded up this little video so it goes faster. But you can see how complicated it is to bring back the forest, because you need to first find the seeds in the forest, clean them up, plant them in the germination beds, and while they spur up, then get the soil ready for once they come out. We'll put them in these nursery bags, give them a lot of love for about a year in the nursery until they grow. And then when they're ready to be taken to the areas where we plant them, we tag them so that we can track their growth and their survival. Then lots of farmers come and help us with their burros to take the saplings into these remote areas, which sometimes are in steep slopes. And then we dig the holes, put some hydro retainer to help with the heat, and then we plant the trees. Whew, that's exhausting. It is a process we do every year, and you would think that's where it ends, but no, that's not where it ends, because then we have to go back every year and see how many trees are surviving. If they are surviving, how fast they grow, how is their health. And then it's like taking care of your babies and kind of monitoring their growth and their survival. This is very important because we spent a lot of time learning about the monkeys, but now we're spending a lot of time learning about how to bring back a new forest, and so that cotton tops don't run out of habitat, and then we can also get the benefits from a healthy forest. So we're doing that, and thankfully, more than 70% of the tree saplings are surviving, which is a very good percentage, and we're happy that it's working out well. And it's a lot of work, but then you start seeing how the landscape changes. I'm sharing one part of our reserve, our forest reserve in northern Colombia in 2020, and this same image, see how it looks in 2023. All the trees we've planting are starting to change the landscape, and they started to look greener, lusher, and of course, healthier. And let me share this one with you. We did this animation based on drone overflights. Look at that. Over the course of 5 years, from 2020 to 2025, how the landscape is changing. And of course, we're starting to see cotton tops come in and many other wildlife species that share the home of cotton tops. So it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, it takes a lot of resources, but it's certainly worth it once you see that the monkeys are moving in. And this work we do for the forest is not only good for the monkeys, it's good for all the other species that live there. Howler monkeys, ant eaters, lots of reptiles, flowers, and the beautiful, colorful macaws are part of a rich biodiversity. Colombia is the second richest country in biodiversity. So this is very important what we're doing, not only for the monkeys, but also for all the other wildlife. And you know what? We were very excited recently because we saw this guy in one of our camera traps that we placed to learn who's coming back into our work areas. A puma. It hasn't been seen for a very long time, and we found it a couple years ago in our camera traps, and we have continued to see. We've seen a male and a female, so I guess that's good. There's a few of them inside, and that's great news for us. That means the forest is recovering, and then the normal balance of things is. The forest is getting to a balance, which is exactly what we want for the monkeys and for everybody else who lives in there. And I know I'm talking about animals and forests and ecosystems, but everything we're doing for the forest is also good for us, for the humans, because this beautiful forest not only provide a home and food and shelter for animals, but they provide safe water for us humans. Can you imagine how important is water and what is a day without water? And then forests are sponges that save water and make it available to us when we need them. And then the clean air, and then stable environment, and then resources if we use them wisely, So it is very important that this forest work also helps people. And that's why we work also with the people, not only planting trees and tracking the monkeys, but we also develop programs that can get kids, youngsters, and adults engaged in protecting cotton top tamarins. And we have this amazing traveling puppet show. You see a cotton top, you're having a great conversation there with humans. And through these traveling puppet shows, we just want kids to know that cotton tops have a very hard time when we bring them into our homes. We want them to understand they're happy only with their families in their forest. And this program is being very successful. We evaluate before and after, and kids really understand that, yes, of course, I want to be with my family. You, cotton top, need to be with your family in your home. So it is very important to spread the word about not having cotton tops as pets. We have it on our t-shirts, on our hats, on posters. And then we have another program, which is Forest Savers, that is for older kids. And they get to also learn about cotton tops and then do something about it. And they get to plant trees, they get to do puppet shows on their own, they get to do their own art to share with on their families and friends. The cotton tops are only found in Colombia, and we especially leave them free in their forest. So it's a lot of work as well, but it's worth it because we're touching hearts. We're getting everybody excited, just as we are excited to protect such a unique species that it's only found in our country. And then, of course, we work with adults too, because what happens is that sometimes people in rural communities in Colombia struggle a lot to get an income. So sometimes they have to hunt and sell a cotton top so that they can get food for their families. So what we do is just provide alternatives. Like there's this group of, smiley women that make the plush toys in all sorts, shapes, and sizes. And what we tell people is like, you want a cotton top here, buy this plush toy and help the ladies in the communities and leave cotton tops, the real ones, leave them alone in their forest. So this is one of our programs. There's another beautiful program where people crochet tote bags with recycled plastic bags. What a good way to use waste and turn it into something beautiful that can be sold and used for groceries, going to the beach, and then give jobs and an income to people that really need it, and people that then commit to working with us to protect cotton tops and their forest home. And then, of course, all those trees we grow and we plant give jobs to a lot of people in the local communities. This is just a small part of our task force that propagates all the trees, take them, plant them, measure them. And now they have a stable job, they can provide for their families, and they commit to not having cotton tops, not hunting cotton tops, not cutting trees, and helping us protect the forest that is home to cotton top tamarins. So it is very important that to protect cotton top tamarins, it takes an army of passionate people, an army of motivated people, and we don't work alone. We have lots of friends and partners all around the world, including Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, which gives us this amazing opportunity to share our work with you, and many people that support our work and our efforts to protect the cutest monkey in the world. And I want to do a shout out to our team. These are all Colombians as well. Most of them are born and raised in these local communities where we work by the forest and now have become ambassadors and warriors to protect cotton top tamarins and their forest home. And thank you for listening to this talk. And I am more than thrilled and happy to answer any questions you have. Look at those cute little guys in the back of mommy. Thank you so much. There's our social media if you want to explore more and learn more about the cutest monkey in the planet.
Awesome. Rosamira, thank you so much. That was such a great presentation. I loved all the visuals. I loved exploring the rainforest and seeing the tamarins where they belong out in the rainforest.
Exactly.
I love how you talked about, the ecosystem services, like eating the fruit and spreading those seeds, dispersing them throughout the rainforest. It is such an important job.
Exactly. That's the thing. Sometimes people ask me, it's like, what is the big deal with the monkeys? Why did they go extinct? Why? How does that affect me? But then it's hard to explain how it's all connected, and how each species, each tree, everything has a role, and if it's a very important role, we have a role too, and we need to be able to learn, explore, appreciate, and support the conservation because it's for our own well-being. So it's good for the monkeys. It's good for us.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's get some Q&A action going. If you are tuning in via YouTube, don't be shy. Send us in some questions. I'm going to visit some camera classrooms in a moment as well. I've got a couple questions here on YouTube, so let's start there. I like this one. This is from out on the East Coast in Canada. Have you helped other conservation groups by sharing your project programs and lessons you've learned?
Oh, yes. And that is something that it is very important. We are part of many networks of conservationists around the whole planet. And we gather for events, or sometimes we do webinars or sometimes workshops or symposiums, all sorts of different gatherings. And it's usually with the purpose of sharing what we have learned. And a lot of things in conservation you learn along the way. There's no books that tell you how to do things. And sometimes you have to just go, with your gut and try to do your best, but you learn a lot along the way. And then those learned lessons, and especially things that don't work well, it is very important to share them so that other conservationists kind of don't waste time trying to do something that is not working. So this is very important. We are part of many networks, such as the Whitley Fund for Nature, such as the Wildlife Conservation Network, such as the World Land Trust. And so we are always in tune, sharing, even with some local networks here in Colombia that we work with. So we enjoy very much sharing achievements, sharing challenges, and learned lessons, which is very important.
Okay, one more from YouTube, and then we'll get some camera groups in here. Elena wants to know the white fur on their heads. Do we have any idea what purpose it might serve?
We do not, but we've seen something that might be the reason why they have it like that, and it is that they are very territorial species. So they basically colonize an area within the forest and they live there with their families, just like our homes. Like we have our homes and we live with our families. And if there's any neighbor that wants to come into your property, they fuss up completely, and that hair gets, I tell you, it gets like really fuzzy. They're here in the shoulders too, and in their arms. And they think they look bigger enough to intimidate other cottontails not to come to their territory. And it seems to be effective because we've seen it live, and they start vocalizing and making a lot of alarm calls, and they get all fussed up. We think that's the reason. I mean, that's why they use it. Otherwise, it's just a cool hairstyle.
All right. Let's get a classroom in here. Crystal STEAM class. I think we'll start off there. I see them on camera. There they are. How's everybody doing over there? Hey, everybody.
Hey. Hello from Colombia.
All right. I think they're grabbing their microphone.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, dear.
What was your first observation on cotton-top tamarins?
My first observation, I had never seen them in the wild. And the first time I saw them in the wild, it was amazing because they were free, they were with their families, they were up in the trees, and they have a very fun day. They get up, find food, then take a nap, then play a little bit, and then go find more food, then they take another nap, and then they enjoy the forest, the food, and the beauty of this environment. But what really touched my heart is how similar they are with us, mom, dad, and babies, brothers and sisters, and how much they love each other, they care for each other, and they stick together to protect each other. That stayed with my heart.
All right. Do you have another question on deck, or do you want me to come back in a moment? I see hands, so maybe we do.
Lots of hands, yeah.
Okay, Lincoln, go ahead.
What type of forest do they live in? Do normal forests or just rainforests?
Okay, so this forest is very special because it's called the tropical dry forest. And it's called the dry forest because 6 months out of the year, there's no rain at all. And then the other 6 months, there's a lot of rain. And then when there's no rain, a lot of the trees drop their leaves like it happens in the US during the winter to save water and to save energy. And then it looks completely different. But then it rains and then all the blooms and the tree and the leaves come out and it becomes green and lush and humid. And then then they find a lot of food because all the trees start producing fruit. So it is a very special and very threatened ecosystem. And that's where cotton-top tamarins live.
All right. Thanks, crew. We're going to see if we can come back to your group and get another question or two. So in North Carolina, we have Levi hanging out at home, a homeschooler. Let's get Levi in here front and center. Hi, Levi.
Hey, Levi. Can't hear you, I think.
Oh no, the connection. We can't hear you. Do you want to try to exit and come back in? Sometimes that can kick in the sound. I'll go to the next group. Okay, try again. Okay, we've got some second graders joining us in Guatemala, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
If you want to go ahead and unmute your mic, second graders, we would love to get a question or two. So you should just have to, oh, there we go.
Hello, yes.
We've gotcha. How's everyone doing?
How you doing? For our crew. Luca, come on. Thank you. Nice, loud and clear, okay?
What have you learned during your time in Colombia?
Oh, I have learned so many things, but one of the things that I have learned, it is so important not only to work with the animals, but work with people. We need to be able to, get educate and get people to fall in love with animals, with wildlife, with wild places, with the forest. And we need to commit all of us to do something about it because the nature and the environment needs us. So what I've learned is that the animals are beautiful, the forests are amazing, but we also need to work with people. It's all about working all together and trying to find a balance between what we as humans need and what animals need. And that's why we try to, do a little bit of everything, work with the monkeys, plant trees, and educate people and work with people so that we can all together, work as a team to save species and, in our case, to save the cotton-top tamarins from extinction.
All right, second graders, do you have one more for us?
Yes, we do. Go ahead. Right here.
Oh, I think, oh, there we go.
And what are you investigating with the monkeys?
Okay, we have investigated many things. Some things is what they eat. So we follow them around the forest and we write down everything they eat, what fruits they eat and from what trees. We have learned that. The other thing we do is how they behave. So how do they spend their time? How long do they sleep? How many times they play? How many times they poop? We have also learned about how they communicate with each other. They have a language, so we're understanding when are they upset, when are they happy, when are they nervous. So we've been studying how they talk. We have also been studying who eats them, because in the forest, it's nature and it's a trophic chain. And we have learned that they're very scared of boa snakes and they're very scared of raptor birds. We have also learned where they sleep and which trees they use to sleep. And we have also learned how long pregnancy lasts, how long the babies take to walk on their own or to jump from tree to tree on their own, how many times they have babies every year. So lots of things about their life, because that way we can help them and we can make sure that they have a future and that they can live and don't go extinct.
All
so
right.
It's many, many, many hours in the forest taking notes and learning about the monkeys.
Okay, good stuff, second graders. Thanks for those great questions. Let's push the North Carolina button and see what happens.
We got it working. All right, great. Hey, guys.
How are you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm well, thank you for asking. So I was wondering, how quickly after the trees came back did the tamarins come back?
Excellent question. So what we have seen is that some trees grow really fast. So like we plant them and they're like a foot and a half. And in the second year, they're 6 feet. And then in the third year, they are like 10 feet and they start producing fruits. So just around the third year, some of the trees start producing fruits and those cotton tops can start a common forage. The issue is that the cotton tops, when there's forest in growth, they spend the day finding food and playing, but they have to go back to the big forest overnight because that's where the tall trees are. And that's where they sleep at night because they can stay safe from predators. So that's why it's very important that we have little trees, big trees, all sorts of trees in the forest. But the tall ones, the really big ones, the beautiful ones that are up way up there to the sky, those are the ones they find at night, and they curl up like a ball of fur all together like that, and then they spend the night in those big trees. So these new forests are good for them to find food and to start moving around. But it takes time, and it probably for a tree to get that big, it will take like 20 years. So we need to be patient. And that's what is important. I mean, we're trying to bring back the forest, but we also need to protect what exists because it's very hard. It's easier to conserve than to restore again a forest. We need to do both. But anyway, yes.
Amazing. And that gets to your other question about size.
Oh,
right,
yes.
Avi?
So, what are some advantages of being that small? Because you said that they're like only 1 pound.
Yeah, 1 pound is they're easy. They can easily move around the trees. If they were heavier, then some branches would break when they jump into them, right? So they're they're exactly about the size of a squirrel, and you see how agile squirrels can be, right? When they move around. And cotton tops love to jump. They take big jumps in the forest. And then if they were heavier, then those branches will break and they will fall down, and they do not like to be on the ground. They love to be up in the trees, not really on top because then they get eaten by raptor birds, but in the second layer, they hang out, very safe and protected there. And especially when there's a lot of vines, they love to hide on those. So yeah, excellent questions, Lee.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, JKR, if you are able to, do you want to come and unmute your microphone? I just popped you in. If you can unmute for us, we would love to get a question or two. JKR, are you able to unmute? If not, you can always send a question into the chat, into the private chat, and I can keep an eye out for it. We are going to go back to YouTube. I'm going to grab a question from there. I've got a class here who would like to know, how many hours a day do you think that they sleep?
Well, we did a study on times they go to bed and times they get up. So it's basically from sundown to sunrise. When in Colombia, we don't have those big changes in daylight and like you do guys in some areas in the United States or in other parts of the world. So usually sunset here is between 6 and 6:30 p.m. and sunrise is between 5:30 and 6 a.m. And what we saw is that as soon as the sun starts to go down, they start finding a tall tree to spend the night. They never do the same tree in a following night. They always change trees. So they go to bed very early, like about 6 p.m. probably, and they get up when the sun rises at 5:30 to 6 a.m. And so 12 hours sleep, very healthy. And then at daytime, they don't really sleep, but they just take little naps, like cool off on top of a branch, stay quiet for a little while to not get too hot, because our temperature here all year round, it's in the 90s, 95 kind of, and the humidity is really high. 70%, 80%. So, they need to cool off sometimes, and then they need to take it easy, especially at noon when it gets really, really hot and humid too.
All right. Let's see. Ooh, okay. Can we tell the difference between males and females?
Not out of sight. No, they're exactly alike. The only way to do so is with their genitals. And sometimes you can spot them from below, sometimes you cannot. But our team that it's in the field every day studying the monkeys, they can recognize them very easily. And because, like us humans, they have different personalities. There are some that are really cool and relaxed. There are some that are very active and hyper. So they behave like they do their day, and the team can recognize them, but not for being male or female. The only way is with their genitals.
Okay. I've got a few classrooms here really curious about who they're closely related to. Is there a primate species maybe that they're really closely related to?
Yeah, they're probably, they do have like cousins we can call. So other tamarins in Colombia, there's actually at least 8 different species of tamarins. And tamarins are, small monkeys. And they have similarities. For instance, there is one that it's in the border with Panama. And it's exactly the same like cotton tops, but instead of a full white head, they just have a mohawk like that. So their sides, no hair, just like a mohawk like that, but the colors are very similar. But it's like a cousin. It's a different species, but it's about the same family. And then there's also the gray-footed tamarin, and yeah, all sorts. It's like 8 different ones. There's quite a few other related to them, kind of, in Brazil. So altogether, I think there's probably 16 different tamarin species in South America, but they're all very distinctive and different. And this one, the cotton top tamarins, are only found in this little bit of Colombia.
All right. Very, very cool. Where was I? I was in Peru in the Amazon and saw some saddleback tamarins, which were pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm forgetting their name right now, but they have the really cool white mustaches.
The emperor, I think.
Yeah, very
And
cool.
then there's one that has a white fur around the mouth, and then they call it like milk drinker or something, because it's like when you drink milk and you have a white mustache in here. Yeah, there's a few, and they're very typical of South America.
Okay. Back to our YouTube. Let's see. Okay. So during the wet season, food's probably easier to find.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the dry season? Do they have to change their diet? What food are they looking for?
Okay, yes. So they're pretty smart, and they do lose weight during the dry season a little bit, but they find alternatives. So besides fruits, which is the main portion of their diet, they also have insects, like small crickets, or like little dragonflies, that kind of insect. They love to prey on those, and they also love to lick the sap from the tree trunks. Like sometimes a woodpecker comes in and tuck, 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 digs a hole, and then the tree starts bleeding. I mean, not bleeding, but like releasing some sap. And they love to lick on that. And they love it because it gives them a lot of energy. And that's what they consume the most during the dry season. So, yes, unfortunately, they find alternatives, but they do sometimes have a hard time to finding food during the dry season because nothing is fruiting. Also, when everything blooms, they love to lick on the nectar of some flowers. And because of their hair in their faces, the pollen gets in their fur. And when they go to another flower, they also are pollinators. So they do play different important roles. But yes, they figure it out, even though they do struggle because there's less food. But unfortunately, they can manage. And of course, then when it's the rainy season, they have like a buffet in front of them, like a banquet.
Perfect.
Like all sorts, like different, like 40 to 60 different fruits that they consume. So yeah, that's the happy time for them.
Okay. North Carolina, give me a wave. Do you want one more before we say goodbye today? Oh no, they're not waving. Oh no, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's get something here.
So I was also wondering, how did you start working with tamarins?
How did I start working with tamarins? Okay, so yeah, I have a funny career path. I was actually trained at the beginning as an architect, and I loved outdoors. So I got a master's in landscape architecture because I wanted to work with nature and in nature. And when I came back to Colombia, my first job was at my hometown zoo that needed to be remodeled. And that's when I saw cotton-top tamarins for the first time. I was born and raised here in Colombia, and nobody ever taught me, or never I heard about this little monkey. That was the first time, and I was in my mid-20s. So I fell in love with the monkeys. I had to do a lot of research to design the exhibit, and that's when I learned there were a group of people working with Proyecto Tití. I got in touch with them. I got involved as a volunteer, and then I co-founded Proyecto Tití so that I could dedicate my life to saving them, because I fell in love with them and the work that Proyecto Tití was doing. And that was 20 years ago. And that was the happiest decision I have made. So that is a nice story to share, because it tells you that you don't really need to, you can help from any profession that you choose. And the environment and wildlife conservation needs them all. We need media supporting, we need lawyers helping, we need educators, we need scientists, we need veterinarians, we need all sorts of expertise to be able to save a monkey or a species, or save our planet. So we can all help. You don't need to be only a scientist to help the environment. So that's encouraging for those who think that there's only one path to conservation, but it is not. So that's my story.
Thank you so much. This has been
Hey.
really, really fun.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. Thank you so much. Nice to meeting you. The screen
right.
at least.
Thank you. Okay, we're coming to that time where I have to start thinking about going to Australia, because we have one more live
Big leap.
lesson today. I want to start off with a huge shout out to our classrooms. Thank you so much for all those great questions. Thanks for hanging out behind the scenes, as well as all the YouTube crew who are here with us today. Rosmira, thank you so much. It's so great to connect, to have you represent South America from Colombia, a beautiful, beautiful country. And the work you and your team are doing is incredible, making sure we have this important little primate species doing its thing out in those forests.
No, thank you, Joe, for always kind of inviting us to be a part of your project and to connect with all of your audiences and the students. It is my pleasure always to share our work and to touch everybody's hearts and just motivate the young generation to learn, to love, and to do something about it, to act, which is important. So thank you, and thank you all for listening, and safe trip to Australia.
All right, thank you so much. We are going to sign off for now, but if you do want to join us, classrooms, you just have to shift over on the YouTube channel. For now, though, we are saying goodbye to South America. Thanks, everyone.
Right, bye-bye.